of tying up, wrangling, and straightening up these teenagers. They're winning. I'm just kidding. And for those of you that don't know my wife is Kelly. I have 3 kids, Hensley, Hollis, and Heston. They're actually not going to be here this morning because on top of me, they decided to have their own insurance. Here for, it's going to be, I think it was like 9 months I'm coming up on now, which has just been like a blur. I feel like I've gotten here yesterday, and there's still so much I want to do and still so many things going on. But I'm going to tell you what, the things that are happening over at Switchback on Wednesday nights, just in the last 2 months, have just been blowing my socks away. The relationships that have been solidified, not just established anymore, they've been solidified in numbers. And, you know, numbers are not everything, and I totally am not for the numbers. But it did sadden me when I saw the number up there for the average attendance of Switchback being 20. And I was like, man, that breaks my heart. I want it to be more. I grew up in a church where we had, it was a really small church in a small town. We had 30 adults on a Wednesday night and 180 teenagers. And so we ended up just switching buildings because that was the only way we could do this. And so I'm totally believing for that. Like, I'm believing for the outreach to get there. And what was happening was the relationships that were established that we just couldn't help but tell other people, you got to come with us. We have such a tight family. When it was, hey, call your friends, let's do something, it was almost instantly 30 of us were an automatic yes and we're doing something. It wasn't 4 people, it was 30. So I'm really excited about what God's got for Switchback and where we're going. So you guys sit back and hold on because it's going to be a crazy ride to watch or to be on and experience. Speaking of teenagers, I was at this training the other day. I had six hours worth of first aid and CPR training for my job. You ask, what do I do? Well, I work at a rock quarry. Actually, dangerous things definitely could happen at any point. I've driven a dump truck, and this only once. I've driven this dump truck 14 feet tall, 14 feet wide, and 28 feet long. I've never been something in like that my entire life. I mean, every obstacle was like a major thing. I was scared to death, especially when they're like, we're going to the pit. And I'm like, what? I'm like, shouldn't I take this around the block a few times? And like, no, let's just do it. I'm just happy they didn't say back down into the pit because that would have freaked me out because already up 14 feet, you're high. But then when you look off to your left and you're looking down 250 more feet, I'm like, yeah, let's just stay on this road. Like, just beware that you don't slice a tire on any rock on this side when you're hugging it because our tires are $8,000 a piece. I'm like, oh, I love this job. So it was only one day, so it ended up being great, and it worked out. No tires sliced. I'm here, obviously. I survived. But in this training, they were talking about some symptoms of shock. And so we were doing this, and it was anxiety, confusion, agitation, restlessness, or dizziness and lightheadedness, cool, clammy, sweaty skin that is palish or blue, rapid, shallow breathing, nausea, changing levels of consciousness. They're going through this, and everybody's like, oh my gosh. And somebody in the back goes, sounds like teenagers today. And I was like, we all started laughing because it does kind of sound like teenagers today. But the laughter just kept going, and with the laughter came all these eye rolls and all these, you know, it's true. They are just all these. And it just quickly turned from like this really lighthearted comedic thing to, mainstream telling us that our world is doomed because this next generation that's taken over is going to be the one that's making all these decisions. There's no way we can make it. We live in a generation of a bunch of spoiled little brats. Well, that can happen. That can definitely be some of it. But I'm telling you, there's some good quality students out there. There's some awesome, and we have a ton of them here. So what I want to talk about today is something that really got to me a few years ago. It was me actually ministering to a group of leaders. I was talking to them about what they're doing, being leaders within their youth ministry. And there was about 20 of them. We were there trying to just build them up. My friend had just taken over, and he was like, listen, I just need these leaders to understand their importance. I said, yeah, I'm totally game. Let's do this. So I got onto my rant, should I say, about, and this is, anybody that uses words that are different than mine, that's on you. That's not me. I don't care for the word volunteer all the time, just because volunteer just, when you look it up, it just seems like it's so meaningless. It means a person that's willingly giving up their time or their ability to do something. They're willingly to do it, and that's awesome. But there's so many people that get stuck on, I'm just here to do a task, and they forget that they're actually here to lead. And so what started through here, I was speaking with these ladies and gentlemen on here, and we were talking about some things that were going on in their lives and in the students' lives. And one lady said, listen, I hear what you're saying, but all that I wanted to do here today was just be a volunteer. I run the snack bar. I stand behind that desk, and that's all I do. That's all I want to do. There's nothing else in here that I really feel like I need to make a difference on. And there's not much that I can make a difference standing behind the snack bar. And I went up to her. I didn't go up to her, I'm sorry. We're having like a round table discussion. And I'm just walking around, and I say, listen, do you do this every week? She said, yeah. I said, do you do it with a smile on your face? She said, yeah. I said, do you talk with students? She said, yes. I said, do you know their names? Some of them. Okay, perfect. I said, do they ask about your life? Yes. And I said, you have no idea the impact that you're probably making in their lives by standing behind that table weekly with a smile on your face, knowing their names, asking about their lives on there. Then they have some having their parents coming home at night. Not everybody has a Disney World home life. It's not always perfect. And there's some people that are out there looking for a hope. And what you're doing by simply standing behind that snack bar with a smile on your face is showing them hope. And the consistency in which you do it, showing up on a weekly basis and doing it, is giving them even more of a hope. We neglect the thought that our consistency in what we do is going to play an impact in someone's life. These students there could come to expect her to be standing behind that snack bar, because where that snack bar was when you walked in the door, it was immediately to your right. What happens when she's gone? What happens when there's no snack bar there anymore? Their first line of offense into their life right there, people that are cheering them on, their cheerleader is gone. This lady starts crying because she has no idea what she's doing in these students' lives. She has no idea how much of an impact. And I said, you may have grown up in some awesome home, but myself, I did not have the worst home. I did not have the greatest home. And there was a lot of things that I relied on my youth leaders in my life to bring in and support me with. And they were there, and they were consistent. And through that birthed so many great things in my life. It birthed the desire to want to go and minister back to students, to change lives like my life was changed because of the leaders in my life. My youth pastor was my best man in my wedding. He meant that much to me. He was everything. He was my rock when I needed it. Yes, of course, we all know Jesus is our rock. But right there, when I knew I had nowhere to turn and things were crazy at home, I needed to go somewhere, door was always open. It was open to the point, at one point, he said, listen, I cannot go out and just grab your stuff for you and move you in here, but if you need to, you can come here. you can have the room in the basement. Like it's yours. Like it's yours at any moment. You know, and again, I don't want to come off as my life was like so rough and bad, but it wasn't easy at times. We had our own issues going on. I grew up in a divorced family, and boy, that can be rough as a student. My heart goes out to any teenager that has to live in a divorced family just because I know the struggles. I've seen the good side of it as well. There's some good moments. And I pray for those parents that are separated, that you, for the sake of your children and the sake of just living for Jesus, you reflect good relationships between people. I don't know why I got on that. Anyways, but I'm fighting this stigma out here that we can't do anything. Our students, our young people aren't going to live up to much. They can't be anything. Well, how do you think they're going to live with that kind of attitude speaking at them all the time, right? Have you guys ever heard of David? David in the Bible. Okay. How about one of the most well-known stories of people that don't even go to church? David versus Goliath. David was the kid that was picked last. He wasn't even present, and they didn't bring him up. David was back home tending to the flock, and they're like, you sure you got nobody else? And like, no one else. And then it was like, are you sure? Oh, all right, we got David back home, blah, blah, blah. David, minding his own business, doing what he was supposed to do, got called in. He got up in there, and you know what? They said, okay, I think you're the one. You're it. Let's do this. They're like, we'll give you the best armor. Here, take my armor. So they tried to equip him with their stuff, which you think about the little boy wearing the dad's suit coat, and it's just swimming in him. That's exactly what happened. And you know what David did? David said, listen, I can't fight these. I can't do it this way. God didn't design me to wear this. This is not made for me. He's equipped me because I'm young to do with what I have. And so David went into this battle, and they were like, are you sure you got this? Or you're doing this? And David's attitude was not, I'm too young not to win. It was the fact that Goliath was too big for me to miss. His attitude was not defeated. His attitude knew that God was with him and God was behind him the whole way. And he was going in there with, how do you miss something so large with something so small? He knew that it wasn't his power that was going out of that sling. It was that rock. It was God shooting that thing out there. He went at that with an attitude like no adult typically walks out of there with. No one would. No one wanted to go face that giant. And here you got this young guy come in. How about Esther? You guys know Esther? Esther, just looking it up on there, she was a young woman on there. When you look it up, and I did some research on there, scholars, there's a range of age on there. They age her from 15 to 20, somewhere in there. This is off of my research, so if you have better research out there, I just was reading a lot, trying to find this age group on there. Esther went out not just to save one Jew, not to save 10 Jews, but to save the Jews. They were sending out a declaration to have all Jews killed on one day. She caught wind of this and said, I'm Jewish, and those are my people. And God's just not going to let us all die now on here. We are his people. And what did she come to? She came to the point of realizing, I was put here for such a time as this. Our students are living in a place where the world is out to get them. But they are planted in their schools. They are planted in their youth groups. They are planted in their families for such a time as this. Because if it wasn't for this time, they would be at a different time. And that would be their time that they were planted there for. Guys, we got to quit having these negative attitudes towards our young people. And I'm not saying everybody does either. What I'm asking for is the support in bringing them up in a way that we are creating Davids and Esthers, that we are praising them and we are cheering them on to go through. I sometimes get this every day with people I work with because I wear my Trailhead shirts. they asked me, I have a really quick way. You don't sound like you're from around here. I don't sound like anything today. But yeah, I'm not. And they're like, where are you from, Yankee? And I said, Oklahoma. And they're like, oh. I'm like, well, I originally grew up in Missouri, so I don't have a Southern accent either. And there's at times I speak nasally. But I get to what brings you here? Open door. I get to minister right there. I start talking about why I'm here and on this. And, God has this plan of like things that are going to be happening here. And I start talking about I'm a youth minister at Trailhead. And I get to do this. I do this all the time at my window, handing out tickets. These people now come up to me and they're like, I have a few in particular that'll be like, those students, you need to be teaching them. And I'm like, oh, I am. I'm like, you need to be praying for them. And so I am going to fight to my last breath everything I can to promote, to build, to lift up every young person. Because we were all young at once. We all survived. These attitudes of we're doomed. Oh, Jesus, thank you for all the wonderful years you've given us. I'm so sorry this is the generation that's broke you. No, Jesus is unbreakable. This is not the end. This is not going to be the end. Jesus is still Lord. He's still on top. He's still going to reign. In 7th grade, I got saved. That's where I come to find Jesus. In 7th grade, my neighbors, it was a neighborhood boy and his mom were taking me to church. She started picking up everybody else up in the neighborhood and taking them to church. She started going to the church at 3 p.m. to pick up the church van so she could pick up more students from in our neighborhood. And then she started taking us to the church an hour and a half early so she could go out and pick up another round of students from another neighborhood that she now discovered. And I'm so thankful that she saw hope for my future, that she didn't give up on me, that she kept going after it. And she kept driving me and taking me to the point that I got my own license and I knew I needed to be there on my own and I needed to bring people with me. So I took my 91 Dodge Spirit called the Holy Spirit. I lifted that center console up and I said, I got another seat. Let's go 6 deep in here. So I'd take them. We went everywhere 6 deep. We were always, every youth event that we could go to, anything that was in our area that we're connected to with other churches, we were going. Get in. Let's go. On there. We don't want to give up anything. Like that lady, though, that we were ministering to, she was just like, I never saw myself as a leader because I didn't have anything to offer. And that's where I want you guys to connect today. You may not think you have anything to offer, but you do. It's already in you. It's already there. It's not something that you're going to learn. It may be something that you're going to develop, but it's already in you. On here, a scripture, which was so funny to hear it read to me this morning, Katie, that changed my life a few years ago through some moments that I was going through, was in Colossians 3, verses 23. It says, work willingly at whatever you do as though you're working for the Lord rather than for people. Whatever you're doing, with whatever skill you have, whatever skill you don't think you have, just whatever you do it unto him. Don't do it to serve man. Do it to serve God. And some of you are saying, well, I don't do anything. Okay, do something. Amen. Do something. Get involved. As the youth pastor, I'm going to be like, listen, I will take leaders for days, all day long. You know what? We're going to have a greeter on the outside of the door. We're going to have a greeter on the inside of the door. We're going to have a check-in counter person. We're going to have a check-out counter person. We don't even have a checkout, but we'll get one. We're going to have a person at the concession stand that takes your money and then the person that hands you your stuff. We're going to have a person sitting on the left side of the basketball court. We're going to have someone on the right side. We're going to have somebody on one couch and somebody on the other couch. We're going to have people everywhere, ready to minister, ready to listen, ready to speak into the lives of these students, to just assist them and be a leader, a person that offers navigation, a person that offers that hope. That was one of the biggest things that I told that lady. I said, you know why a lot of these students ask you questions about your life, how your week's going? Is because they are searching for a hope that their life can change and be different. They want to know that they don't have to repeatedly live this same day over and over and over. That through seeing what life you're living, that's the one I want. I want that one. So what is your consistency of showing up and showing the love of keyboard or behind the drums here? What is your anything? Today's your day. I challenge you to stop out at next steps, to get involved. Ask, where can I be? If you say, listen, I don't know if I have what it takes to be a children's worker or a youth worker or, and I say worker, why am I saying the word worker? A leader. Everyone's a leader. On there, you're leading somebody. There's somebody in your life you're leading. You don't volunteer in life, do you? No, lead in life. I encourage you to get involved today. Make today the day that you decide, hey, I want to make a difference because Jesus ultimately made that difference in my life. Here's the thing you're going to get a lot at. A lot of you are going to say, listen, I'm just not in a place and my circumstances are just not correct. Pastor Josh has taught on this before. We'd be like, well, I got to pray and I need to wait until I get my life in order on that. Okay, so maybe you're not going to be one of these places where you feel like, maybe I'm not in the best place to go ahead and lead people's lives, but maybe I could lead their car into the right parking spot. All right? Don't let those circumstances hold you back. Did Moses let all his circumstance hold him back from leading people? No, he didn't. Joseph. All right, Joseph's like probably one of my favorite people in the Bible. Just because, have you ever met somebody up against so many horrible things time and time again? And consistently, he never, ever changed. He pushed through everything that ever came at him. He just kept going. His circumstances had no control in his life. None. It didn't affect his decisions. God gave him vision. He stuck to it. Jesus, he knew exactly what he came to this earth for. He knew exactly what was going to happen to him. And yet, every time he came up against something, he never changed. His love never quit on us. It never gave up on us. I don't know about you. I mean, I would love to be at a place where I can say I operate 100% like Jesus, where I don't just give up on anything, even when I'm facing death. Jesus didn't quit. His love poured out on us so long ago before we were even born. His love is amazing. The biggest thing not only do youth need today, but probably every person in your life is consistency. The same consistency Jesus shows us. His mercies are new every day. And yet people carry their pain and their sorrow day to day, building their luggage and dragging it heavier and heavier, not knowing that Jesus has paid the price to take all those things away, that he has made a way for them to let it all go. He consistently will be there for you no matter what. That you don't have to pray, Lord, Lord, please deliver me from this. No, Lord, deliver me from this. Keyboard player, sorry. You knew I was getting to that? Sorry. Chelsea. I want to go ahead and open this up right now. If you have never come to know Jesus, and you said, hey, today you're talking about this love that you're pouring out on. You're talking about this love that is consistently there for me always. This love that never gives up on me. I don't know this love. This is a love that I do want to know, though, because it sounds too good to let go and walk away from. Because it really is. When I gave my life over, it was life-changing. Got a second family for me. One that supported me when I needed it. One that was there to guide me through anything that I was facing that just was painful. He provided those right people in my life. He showed up in ways that I never thought he would. He healed me of sickness. He set me free of bondage. And he planted vision in me to go show these same things to others. And what I want you to think about today is this could be you. This could be your day that your life changed forever. The day that you accepted Jesus. So many people neglect the fact that these moments are so huge, or maybe not neglect, they just don't understand it at the time. But when you go back and you look and you reflect on it, you get to a moment in your life and you say, Jesus, you did big things for me that day. You did things I didn't know were possible. You did things that I'm never going to pick back up again. And so for the first one here, I want to ask, if that's you today and you feel like, hey, listen, I